What up, though? One of my nieces, one of my favorite people in the world, her maternal bloodline is Haitian. We ain't gonna settle for none but all the way. Let's shake it.
This is the time for all of us to raise our voices and to say this country is also our country, is also the country of our immigrants because we are the one who built it.
The Daily Enterprise newspaper, Livingston, Montana, Wednesday, April 25th, 1911. The Daily Enterprise newspaper, Livingston, Montana, Wednesday, April 26, 1911. The headline says, Negro suing for $1 billion. Now, we know there's no such thing as a Negro, so we're speaking of Americans. The only Americans it ever was, is, and will be the American Indian. But properly, who your people said they was. If your people said they was, if they had any affiliation with any, quote, tribe or family, your family might have called themselves something other than the blanket labels they put on us. You know how they say all those people from where some of my people from, Macon County, Alabama, Tuskegee, Alabama, all that area was considered Creek. But see, my people ain't tell me that's what they called themselves. So I gotta find out. Maybe they just was Tuskegees. But we gonna go with American Indians. But just know, what's more important is what your people call themselves and what they called you. So, Negro suing for $1 billion, properly American Indian suing for $1 billion. Washington, April 26, $1 billion is the modest sum. Now, think about this. This is 1911. Okay? And we just heard the Haitian sister in the short clip say that she said, we built America, speaking about her and her people and immigrants. Okay? The Daily Enterprise. Now, don't get me wrong. This ain't a shot to Haitian people because I said what I said first in the beginning of this show. It has nothing to do with that. But see, we ain't gonna settle for nothing but all the way. Negro suing for $1 billion. It's an American Indian suing for $1 billion in 1911. The clip of the sister I showed you, that was recent times. That was this year. I believe it was this year. It was within the past 3 or 4 years. But she said, we built this country. The Daily Enterprise newspaper, Livingston, Montana, Wednesday, April 25th or April 26, 1911. 1911. Washington, April 26. $1 billion is the modest sum that Elbert R. Robinson, a Chicago Negro, a Chicago Indian, seeks to collect in the United States Court of Claims. The government is made defendant in a suit he has brought because of alleged infringements on patents on an electrical signal system he alleges were granted him. Robinson, who is an attorney, will argue his own case when it comes up. The Monticello, Arkansas, Thursday, June 5th, 1912. 1912, June 6, 1912. The Monticelloian, Monticello, Arkansas, or as we say from where I'm from, Monticello or Cello. Yeah, because it's a street called that, an infamous street where I'm from is called Cello. Negro race, no such thing as a Negro, so the American Indians. Negro race has billion in US. Return of the colored people to the dark continent is impossible owing to material progress made by them. It is announced. This is 1912. They're speaking of returning somewhere that we never were. It says return of colored people, meaning American Indians, to dark continent. I assume they're speaking of Africa. We were never there. So how could we return somewhere we were never at? This is 1912. Do you remember when so-called slavery, shackles on the neck and wrist and ankles? Do you remember that chattel slavery? All these romantic, fantastical stories. The what is it called? The Middle Passage and whatnot. You remember when that was? When that was abolished? Was it the mid 1800s? It was during the 1800s. This is 1912. Return of colored people to dark continent is impossible owing to material progress made by them. It is announced. Kansas City, Missouri. Disfranchise the Negro or the American and send him back to Africa? Absurd. Impossible. More than $1 billion worth of United States real estate, which he owns in his own name in the United States, is not easily to be taken from him. Besides, the Negro, the American Indian, is not an African. He is an American, the only American it ever was, is, and will be. African is a misnomer. Why try to send him to a country which is not his own? So says Dr. J.R. Hawkins of North Carolina, Secretary and Commissioner of Education for the African Methodist Episcopal Church, a delegate to the General Conference at the Allen Chapel. Dr. Hawkins has made a study of the business status of his race in connection with his regular work as one of their foremost educators. Dr. J.R. Hawkins of North Carolina, Secretary and Commissioner of Education for the African Methodist Episcopal Church. A political relationship, no doubt, one possibly to his and our detriment. It probably will startle the world when it realizes that we have acquired in the last 50 years over 1 billion in real estate, Dr. Hawkins said. And when he says acquired, that is political, no doubt. Because how do you own earth? You ever thought about that? How can you own earth? Did you make earth? Or did we come from it? Did we sprout up from this American soil, from this Georgia red dirt, from that Mississippi mud? And that is only the beginning of the rapid forward march which the Negro or American is making as a businessman. The Negro or the American Indian could not help being a businessman. He was surrounded with it in the years of his slavery. He was taught how to drive a bargain in horses or real estate, even if his master didn't teach him how to read and write. We all know that master is the equivalent of what you might call a boss or a manager. And slavery is synonymous with worker, laboring, working, laboring, employment. A bargain in horses or real estate, even if his master didn't teach him how to read and write now, that wasn't his boss responsibility to teach him how to read and write. Just like it ain't your boss responsibility how to teach you how to read and write. Besides, before the immigrants, before the foreigners came here, what purpose was it to read and write? I mean, if you're self-sufficient, if you come from the soil and you're living right with that soil and it's providing for you, the earth is providing for you, why would you need to know how to read? Now, it's different today, but I'm not speaking of today. I'm speaking of 1912, right? You do understand there are many people who knew how to read and write in 1912, but that's not what this show is about. There are 400 self-supporting newspapers. We talking about the American Indian right now. Now, remember, the first clip was of an immigrant, and don't get me wrong. Haiti, Puerto Rico, Jamaica, all these islands, all I'm sure beautiful places. All these places are the Americas. America, the Americas. Those people come from the soil of those places. We come from the soil right here. Okay? And the very people trying to send them back to their soil portion, those people need to go back to their soil portion. Let's shake it. Speaking of the American, who they are falsely calling the Negro, the only American it ever was, is, and will be, there are 400 self-supporting newspapers daily and weekly owned and published by Negroes in the United States. 3,000 physicians have been graduated from Negro and white schools and are now practicing among their people. 2,000 lawyers have been admitted to the bar in the United States courts of justice, and 380 authors are found among our race. We own 41 schools and colleges, representing an investment of $38 million and $45 million has been spent in church property for Negroes. Properly Americans or American Indians. Negro men own and control 51 banks, which are prosperous and flourishing, and $650,000 has been invested in Negro libraries. And it is significant that in the Southland, Negroes owned 180,000 farms on which 50 years ago they toiled to the crack of the slave driver's whip. Bullshit. The Negro is a born American and he feels it is his country. Ain't no feel. We know it's ours. And we should do something about it. Africa has no call for him. It is as a fairy tale to him. Pestilence and disease are not uncommon in Africa, but America nurtures him and makes him strong, and he likes it and intends to stay in it because we sprouted up from it. That doctrine is being taught our 1,650,000 children in the public schools. The Negro does not ask for any special legislation in his favor. He is willing to take his chance and is confident that he can bear his own burden, as well as the white man. And toward that end, we are striving to educate our ignorant poor, make healthy and weak, make healthy the weak, and to help more Negroes or American Indians to own their own homes and farms. Okay. The Tulsa Star, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Friday, July 30th, 1915. Remember, we were at 1900 or 1911. Then we went to 1912. Now we're at 1915. An article in the Tulsa Star newspaper, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Friday, July 30th, 1915. Negro miners and the county clerks. Negro miners and the county clerks. Properly, American miners and the county clerks. In Oklahoma, we have thousands of wealthy Negro children or thousands of wealthy American Indian children whose incomes amount to from $500 to $8,000 a month. This money, of course, is handled by guardians appointed by the county courts of Oklahoma. Was one of these thousands of wealthy American Indian children a relative of yours? You should go look and find out. The guardians are allowed 10% of the amount of money his ward is worth in cash or property, and they usually use the miner's money in a way to make many times this commission. Criminals. As a result, there are hundreds of white men in this state who have become rich from the wealth of Negro children, from American Indian children, because it is a recognized fact that the county judges invariably appoint white men as guardians of Negro children where there is any great amount of money involved, sometimes very often overlooking the children's natural guardian and protector, the parent, whatever the parent's qualifications. And no white man has ever been known to refuse the guardianship of a wealthy Negro child, of a wealthy American child, however pronounced his hatred or prejudice for the Negro race or for the American Indian race, the race of people, the peoples that were here when said white man got here. Because no one comes to a place where there is nothing. They came to a place where there was something. Nor has any white man been found who would be as fair and impartial in his treatment of his Negro wards as he would of white miners whose money he handles. I beg to differ. I think a criminal is a criminal, regardless. Oklahoma is full of graft, but the biggest game of graft in the state today is the guardianship graft, which is manipulated today by unscrupulous white men, aided by the county courts. A prominent example of the graft of Negro guardianship, a prominent example of the graft of American Indian guardianship money was shown recently in Muskogee when Bob Fight, a white man, was recently in Muskogee when Bob Fight, a white Let's go over it again. A prominent example of the graft of American Indian guardianship money was shown recently in Muskogee when Bob Fight, a white man who has openly manifested his prejudice against the race through the white guardianship of Sarah Rector, probably the wealthiest girl in Oklahoma, and the county clerk sold his building on South 2nd Street in Muskogee to the Rector girl for the extortionate sum of $57,000. The building was a white elephant on Fight's hands, and he used his pull with the white guardian of this Negro girl, of this American Indian girl, to load it off on her. Where the men at? Where we at? Start teaching your children. Let's go back to teaching our children, or teaching your children, that they should be 10 times better than anybody else. You know why? Because that's what the world, that's what the planet expects from us, to be 10,000 or 10 times better than them. Let's shake it. DuSable History, DuSable Heritage Association. This is the DuSable Heritage Association. History of DuSable. And DuSable, where I'm from, DuSable is a high school. It's also a DuSable museum. So I've only known it as the school. And later I heard that it was a, quote, black man who discovered Chicago, who founded Chicago. It was a black man. This is what I heard. It was a black man. So that's what I heard up until this point, or up until the point where I was putting together a couple things. DuSable History, DuSable Heritage Association. History of DuSable. John Baptiste Point DuSable was born in Saint Marc, Saint Domingue, present day Haiti, around 1745, to a French father and a black African slave mother. Listen, look how they do the mother. Black African slave. They call this woman a black African slave, but the father was a French father to a black African slave mother. They just, try to put her down to the dirt. Try to telling you, man, the disrespect is diabolical. But see, we consent to the disrespect, right? I ain't gonna say we, I don't, but maybe some of you do. Some of y'all have a romantic, intimate relationship with black African slave, right? Don't you? Be honest. You got an intimate, romantic relationship with black African slave. John Baptiste Point DuSable was born in Saint Marc, Saint Domingue, present day Haiti, around 1745, to a French father and a black African slave mama. There is a paucity paucity of information in the historical record as pertains to DeSabo's life in Saint Domingue prior to his migration to New Orleans around 1765. Now, when they say there is a paucity, meaning there is a very small amount, a minuscule amount of information regarding this. But it's not so minuscule as to have any doubt that his mama was a black African slave. In fact, scholars debate DuSabo's origins. See, it say they debate his origins, but at the top, this is the history of DuSabo. This is from the DuSabo Heritage Association. So how are we supposed to believe them? When on the one hand, they tell us John Baptiste Point DuSabo was born in St. Mark, St. Domingue, present-day Haiti around 1745 to a French father and a black African slave mother. Then they say it's a very small amount of information in the historical record pertaining to his life in St. Domingue prior to his migration to New Orleans around 1765. In fact, scholars debate DuSabo's origins. So did they just say something and then say something and then show us that they was lying? In fact, scholars debate DuSabo's origins, with some arguing that he had French Canadian roots. However, most biographers agree that the majority of evidence points, remember the paucity of information, the small amount of information, it said the majority of that small amount of information, the majority of evidence points to DeSabo being a mulatto from present day Haiti. So he was a mulatto from present day Haiti because his father was French and his mother, French. His father was French and his mother was a black African, but he was a mulatto. Now, when they say French father, they won't, I guess they assuming that we gonna think by French, it means that he was an Anglo-Saxon, that he was one of them old peoples, that he was what you would term as a white person. Nah, we not gonna assume that. We not gonna assume that. Right? Why would we assume that? However, most biographers agree that the majority of evidence point to DeSabo being a mulatto and no such thing as a mulatto. He is what he is. He was what he was. Mulatto from present day Haiti. Upon his arrival in New Orleans, a popular city for Haitians in 1770s, DuSabo made the epic journey up the Mississippi River. He eventually settled in Kaskaskia, present day Peoria, Illinois, of Cahokia fame. DuSabo just so happened to arrive in New Orleans, or was he already there? Because they told you they really don't know. They debating about his origins. So he on the Mississippi River. He just happened to go up the Mississippi River, eventually settled in Kaskaskia, Peoria, Illinois, right? There he maintained excellent relations with Native Americans, or properly what they really mean to say is American Indians, or who they would term as Negroes, and lived among various indigenous tribes. So we got this guy. He come to your block, come to the neighborhood. And all of a sudden now he living there. He settled there. He maintained excellent relationships with the people there. He eventually married Kithawa, better known as Catherine, a member of the Potawatomi tribe. This common law marriage was solemnized in a Catholic church in Cahokia, Illinois. Cahokia. Eden, perhaps. Cahokia, Illinois in 1778. DuSable and Catherine went on to have two children, John Baptiste Jr. and Suzanne or Susan. DuSable's largest contribution to early Midwestern history is his Chicago settlement, founded around 1778, 1779. We just heard about him being in Peoria or Kaskaskia and Cahokia. Okay, that's the southern part of Illinois. Now we go all the way to like almost the most northern part is Chicago. His Chicago settlement, founded around 1778, 1779, although some scholars put him there as late as 1790. Ooh, 10 years later. DuSable's estate consisted of a modest-sized home, a horse mill, a bakehouse, a dairy, a smokehouse, a poultry house, a workshop, a stable, and a barn. The location of this settlement on the north bank of the Chicago River at its junction with Lake Michigan was at a natural crossroad for both Native Americans, or properly American Indians. Don't let them confuse you. Talking about the more recent group of people that came here. We talking about yo people who always been here. Both American Indians and Europeans seeking access to the Mississippi River. Many explorers and pioneers had come in passing prior to this settlement. Many explorers and pioneers had come in passing prior to this settlement. Not only explorers and pioneers, but guess what? The people was already there. So when you say he was the first, had the first settlement, we have to look up the word settlement. What that mean? Somebody else from somewhere else came there. He was the first one. He was the first stranger to come there. Possibly. But it says the location of this settlement on the north bank of the Chicago River at its junction with Lake Michigan was at a natural crossroad for both American Indians and Europeans seeking access to the Mississippi River. It was a natural crossroads. Many explorers and pioneers, or many people, had come in passing prior to this settlement. However, none stayed. Yeah, because it was people already there. Nobody just gonna come stay in your neighborhood. Rules and regulations. You had to, quote, check in, end quote, right? But now our people making each other check in, or at least that's what the propagandists say. Thus, DuSable established the first permanent settlement in present-day Chicago, and first permanent settlement. So what does that mean, permanent settlement? They tell us he built the house, he had a few other things on in the place that he lived, and that's it. He lived there. What do you mean, permanent settlement? I don't understand what that means. What it talks about him and his woman, and later they had a couple children. It don't speak of him coming with 100 other people to settle there, so that it's a permanent settlement, to the point where those people are having children, and their children's children are having children with other people, and all of this, and generations are coming about from this. That's a permanent settlement, and it's still around to this day. They just spoke about him. It was a permanent place for the people who lived there already. Why ain't they speaking more about them? The Potawatomis? They're in Illinois, so the Illinois, the Miamis or Miamis. DuSable established the first permanent settlement in present-day Chicago. Now, understand, we still don't know DuSable's origins. Okay? They said it was Saint Domingue, Haiti. They said that, right? On this big old website, this big old prominent website. DuSable Heritage Association, right? They telling you they don't know, but yet they standing on it. They don't know, but they standing on it. Do that sound familiar? Thus, DuSable established the first permanent settlement in present-day Chicago and lived at that site for at least a decade. Thought it was permanent, man. No, it was a decade settlement. He set up a trading post which supplied customers with flour, pork, and bread in exchange for cash and durable goods. Okay. Daily World, New York, New York, Sunday, February 12th, 1950. Daily World, New York, Daily World newspaper, New York, New York, Sunday, February 12th, 1950. Chicago's big secret. Founder was a Negro or American Indian. See, this is what they use for American Indian. They use Negro. Now, they say DuSable was Haitian from Saint Domingue, but I mean, the big old websites say they don't know what his origins is. And they say they got a little bit of information, but the majority of that little bit of information confirms what they say, that he was born from a black African slave mama and a French father, who we don't know what his complexion was. We don't know who he was. So they don't know. Now they calling him a Negro. Okay. By Noble Frederick. By Noble Frederick. Chicago. What is Chicago's big secret? The fact that its founder was a Negro. To the everlasting shame of this city's schools, its libraries, museums, newspapers, they have joined in a united conspiracy to hide this fact. John Baptiste Point DuSable was the trapper and trader who first settled here 160 years ago. Here he built the first home. He built the first home, but we know it was people there when he got there. I mean, he married a woman who was in Illinois. Come on, man. He built the first home. A large, attractive house with a handsome front lawn where he planted 4 great poplars. I wish they would have gave us some sources of where they getting this information from. They homie who Noble who writing the article seemed like he know the man. He know his people. And here he lived from 1779 to 1796, raising a family, building the first settlement where the Chicago River meets Lake Michigan. Prime real estate today is what they would call it, I guess. I mean, straight popping spot. Subsequent generations of white supremacists buried the story of DuSable. Buried it where? I'm reading a newspaper article. This from 1950. Where's they burying it at? It's many more stories about DuSable. Didn't nobody bury nothing. They wrote about it, and as we can see from the last article, they lied about stuff. Subsequent generations of white supremacists, this propaganda, remember we reading a newspaper article. Subsequent generations of white supremacists buried the story of DuSable, the house he built, which was later sold to an Englishman named John Kinsey. And in Chicago, it's a street called Kinsey. Became known in Chicago history as the Kinsey House. At the corner of Pine and Kinsey Street on the Kirk Soap Factory building, there is a plaque that says, site of the first house in Chicago, erected about 1779 by John Baptiste Point DuSable, a Negro from Santo Domingo. Look how the newspaper just lied and said a Negro from Santo Domingo. And in this case, when they say Negro, they talking about complexion, facial structure, how big your nose and lips is, your countenance, the texture of your hair, how you act, a Negro from Santo Domingo. They lying, right? They didn't know. They don't know where he from. They said it's still debates about where he from, right? Then it goes on to, and it says that's a plaque at the corner of Pine and Kinsey Street on the Kirk Soap Factory building. There was a plaque that says, I don't know if it's still there. This is 1950, remember. Site of the first house in Chicago, erected about 1779 by John Baptiste Point du Sable, a Negro from Santo Domingo. We know they lying because they don't know where he was really from. So are they trying to give you your thoughts? Did they give you your thoughts? Did it work? Then it goes on to say, with the concurrence of the Chicago Historical Society and the Daughters of the American Revolution, this tablet is dedicated in honor of John Kinsey. So, with the concurrence of the Chicago Historical Society and the Daughters of the American Revolution, okay, so we know that these people is all about lies. You got to find the truth in they lies. They tell lies that's maybe peppered, a pinch of pepper of the truth. Or you can find the truth in they lies because you point out the hijack. They telling you right here, they wrote the plaque and the plaque lied because they still debating about where he from. They don't know where he from. Then it goes on to say, with the concurrence of the Chicago Historical Society, pretty sure institution you look for the truth, for scholarly truth, and the Daughters of the American Revolution, this tablet is dedicated in honor of John Kinsey. They dedicated it in the honor of John Kinsey, the dude who it says that that DuSable sold him the house, but under what conditions? Is much more to the story. I just didn't go into it here because that's not the point. I'm not doing this strictly about John Baptiste Point du Sable, the supposed Haitian. Okay. The Chicago Historical Society's museum at Clark and North has a display on highlights in Chicago's history, but try to find here any mention of Chicago's founding father. This reporter checked the libraries. Said the librarian, flipping through the files. Du Maurier, DuPont, Durocher, Leo. Sorry, nothing on DuSable. Ask any high school boy or girl in New York City who Peter Stuyvesant was, and you'll get a ready, quick response. Ask the same question about William Penn anywhere in the state of Pennsylvania, and they'll think you're kind of stupid for not knowing that he founded the state. Now mention the name of DuSable to the average Chicago high school student, and it is a safe bet that you'll draw a blank. A testament to letting a stranger educate / nurture / nourish your child. DuSable settled at the site, which is now the city of Chicago, just 160 years ago. He was born around 1750. Listen, man. He was born around 1750. But no one can say exactly where. Listen, man, they sit up here in the same article, stand on something, and then tell you they lying about it. With the concurrence of the Chicago Historical Society and the Daughters of the American Revolution, this tablet is dedicated in honor of John Kinsey. Hold on. Let's go back a bit. Right here. At the corner of Pine and Kinsey Streets on the Kirk Soap Factory, there is a plaque that says, site of the first house in Chicago, erected about 1779 by John Baptiste Point du Sable, A Negro from Santo Domingo. A Negro from Santo Domingo. He was born around 1750, but no one can say exactly where. He was a runaway slave from New Orleans, while others credit him with being from Santo Domingo of French and Spanish parentage. French and Spanish. We know they said the father was French and the mother was a black African slave, but it's saying that he was born John Baptiste 1750, but no one can say exactly where. He was a runaway slave from New Orleans, while others credit him with being from Santo Domingo or French and Spanish. So the woman was a black, now his mama was a black African Spanish slave. But the most authentic sources available indicate that DuSable traces his lineage to the Dandanu family, which immigrated from France to Canada during the 17th century. But the most authentic sources available, it doesn't say the true source or but they're not saying that he definitely had lineage to the Dandanu family, which immigrated from France to Canada. So if his family immigrated, they so confusing, man. It's like they guessing. It's like they putting layers on the guesswork. On one hand, he was a runaway slave, or he was a runaway. On one hand, he was an American from New Orleans who went to Chicago. On the other hand, he from Santo Domingo, of French and Spanish parentage. But the most authentic sources available indicate that DuSable traces his lineage to the Dandanu family, which immigrated from France to Canada during the 17th century. He was born around 1750, but no one can say exactly where. DuSable was a man of culture and refinement. He earned the respect and admiration of the people with whom he dealt. By the standards of his times, he was an educated man of affairs. In the words of Professor Milo Quaife, an authority on the history of the Great Lakes region, DuSable, was a true pioneer of civilization, leader of the unending procession of Chicago's swarming millions. DuSable's principal occupation was trading. The group of buildings that served as home and trading posts included a log house 40 feet by 22, a bake house, a dairy, a smokehouse, poultry house, workshop, stable, barn, horse mill, and others. Like other successful pioneers of his era, he worked at a number of occupations and trades. Why does it seem like it's important for us, the reading or viewing audience, to accept this story about DuSable? Why does it seem like I'm being coerced into knowing DuSable? Why does it seem like he's supposed to be important to me? The inventory of items appearing on the bill of sale when he later sold his house indicates that he was a craftsman of exception skill. His home was a stopping point for all travelers and traders who passed that way. Why would he sell it? Why would he sell it? The inventory of items appearing on the bill of sale when he later sold his house. The inventory of items on the bill of sale. So he sold his house and he sold all his stuff too. Why would he do that, man? I told you, man. It's more to that story, man. Okay. CBS Boston, director of Massachusetts Immigrant Organization, reflects on her tireless mission. I Have a Vision, by Louisa Mahler, February 26, 2024. Okay, the speech from the Haitian sister at the beginning, I guess It could have been this year, but it was within the last few years. Boston, a brand new office to assist migrants, opened in Malden at 10 a.m. Monday morning. By 10:30 a.m., the waiting room was full. This is the reality for the Immigrant Family Services Institute, the organization at the front line of the migrant crisis in Massachusetts, and its director, Dr. Gerald Gabot. Gerald Gabot or Gerald Gabot. Despite the uphill efforts to assist the state's newcomers with shelter, job opportunities, and food, Dr. Gabot says she feels inspired to help. This is the sister, Dr. Gerald Gabot, director of the Immigrant Family Services Institute in Boston, in Massachusetts. This is the sister who was doing a speech at the podium, who said that we, meaning her and other immigrants, built America. So she said, despite the uphill effort to assist the state's newcomers with shelter, job opportunities, and food. Now, I think she would have had her hands full if she was assisting the not newcomers, the people who were already there, with shelter, job opportunities, and food. I think she would have had her hands full. Gerard Gabot grew up in Haiti in a family with 9 kids. During her 20s, Dr. Gabot says the situation in Haiti grew dire. She and her young family decided to move to the United States. In the U.S., she started an effort to help other immigrants like her. So she came here. She came here. Somebody gave her a little bit of your stuff. And she decided she was going to be on a mission, or she started an effort to help other immigrants like her. Instead of just doing her thing and enjoying life, she decided that she wanted to help other people coming here to take your stuff. In 2005, she founded the Immigrant Family Services Institute in Mattapan. For months, she has been an outspoken advocate for the thousands of migrants who have come to Massachusetts seeking shelter. This is a quote. From December 7th to last week, we already had 2,000 new people registered with us. So it's not a simple affair. It's every day. Hundreds of people are coming to all of the sites, Gabot said in January. Think about that. Think about that. You, American Indian, from one of them places that the Indians dwelled, Bama, Mississippi, Missouri, Kentucky, Louisiana, Georgia, Florida, Virginia, South Carolina, North Carolina, all up and down the East Coast, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Arkansas, Texas, California. You American, imagine that. In 2024, we already had 2,000 new people registered with us. So it is not a simple affair. It's every day. Hundreds of people are coming to all of these sites to get help, to get your stuff. Because she's not giving these people stuff out of her pocket. She's applying for ways to get resources. From who is she applying for these resources? Yeah, the people who control you. Gabot says, I have a vision. I need to accomplish this. Gabo says her drive comes from her family values, Haitian heritage, and her faith. This is from GBH. GBH is where this article is from. GBH. Across continents, two sisters work together to serve Haitians in crisis. These are the two sisters' childhood photos of Guerda Vital Previlon and Geraldi Gabot, taken at their respective elementary school graduations in Haiti. Beautiful sisters. By Tori Bedford, September 25th, 2024. This is by Tori Bedford. From her kitchen in Boston's Hyde Park neighborhood, Geraldi Gabot calls her sister Guerda Vital Prevelon the oldest of 9 siblings and the only one stubborn enough to remain in Haiti. They call her stubborn for remaining in her at her home soil portion. They call her stubborn for that because already what's being pushed is the idea of leaving your soil portion, leaving it to come here in waves. Gabot asked the same question each time she calls. How are you? This is Gabot. This is the sister who made the speech at the beginning. She asks her sister every time she calls, how are you? How is the country? When are you finally coming here? She's trying to get her to come to here. What people term as North America or the United States of America, but it's just America. I mean, if you're gonna put it in a pocket, then it probably would be closer to saying like Central America, because Canada would, be North America, right? So this would be like Central North America, I guess you could say, right? But she's trying to get her to come here. It says Gabot asked the same question each time she calls. How are you? How is the country? How is the country? The entire country? How would she know? When are you finally coming here? This sounds so political, don't it? It sounds good, but it's like a romanticized version of something. How is the country? When the last time you called your people and asked them, how is the country? What? Gabot can sense when her sister is downplaying how difficult things are. Oh, we don't know what her sister answer was, okay? But it says Gabot can sense when her sister is downplaying how difficult things are. So they're implying that when she asked, how is the country, her sister said, oh, it's great. And Gabot said she can sense when her sister is downplaying how difficult things are. So she's saying that the country really effed up. If she hears a subtle tone shift, she'll recruit other family members to check up on Prevalon. So she gonna recruit families to check up on her sister because she don't believe she doing good. She don't believe she all right. She got to be. If she didn't choose to do what she did, something must be wrong. Because she asks her every time and say, when are you finally coming here? When Gabot hangs up, she sighs deeply and begins to cry. So every time she talked to her sister, she cried. Her sister we don't know what her sister told her. We don't know her answer to how is the country or how are you. Her sister could have said, I'm good. What you mean? I'm good. I'm great. Never been better. And Gabot like, when are you finally coming here? Her sister probably said, when you coming here? When you gonna visit? When you coming home to see your people? When Gabo hangs up, she sighs deeply and begins to cry. I cannot cry with her on the phone because if I do, it's going to worry her more. So the sister is already worried, is what she's saying. She's implying that her sister was worried, and we're supposed to believe that her sister was worried, even though we don't see any quotes from her sister saying she's worried. It's how we protect each other, she told GBH News. But it's like, when is this going to end? When are we going to be comfortable knowing that she's safe, that nothing will happen? What did her sister say to her to make her believe that she wasn't safe? Okay, this is, both sisters work in tandem as founders and executive directors of their own respective nonprofits. Oh, so the sister also is the founder and executive director of a nonprofit in Haiti. Gabo at the Mattapan-based Immigrant Family Services Institute in Prevalon at the Haitian Out of School Youth Livelihood Initiative in Port-au-Prince. I am alone in Haiti, Prevalon says in a video call with GBH News earlier this month. Gabo always wants me to come to the U.S. to work, and I always tell her that the job that I'm doing in Haiti is so important for the children, for the youth, for the women. No, I have decided to stay in my own country. Gabo says it's also been challenging to advocate for resources in Haitian immigrants Gabo says it's also been challenging to advocate for resources as Haitian immigrants have been singled out by racist rhetoric and mischaracterizations of the people seeking asylum in the U.S. Gabo says her dream is to someday return to Haiti and live there in peace. Her dream. Think about this. The woman come here. She's given some of your stuff. She attains the level of, and she becomes a doctor, Gabo. She turns around to help other immigrants, other people who coming from other places here in waves to take your stuff. Food, clothing, and shelter is what she want to provide for them. She want to make sure they have those things. And work. She didn't say nothing about, okay, well, we're going to try to get them work so that they can provide food, clothing, and shelter for themselves. But no, she said food, clothing, and shelter first. Food, clothing, and shelter, and then, work as well. And she's advocating for resources to do this with. Where would the resources come from? We have hope. Gabo says her dream is to someday return to Haiti after she done helped hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people coming, thousands of people come to get your stuff. She says her dream is to someday return to her country with the resources that she's gotten from you and people who, oh man, we have hope. We are not going to despair. Why would her dream someday be to return to Haiti and live there in peace? When she said at the beginning of the show, in the small clip, that we built America. Why wouldn't you want to stay in the place that you built? We have hope. We are not going to despair, she said. Everything is calling us to total despair, but inside, deep inside, we know that Haiti cannot die, that Haiti will come back, and the whole world will see what it means to be a part of a country where freedom is part of our bloodstream. This is from Free Haiti. This is from freehaiti.org. freehaiti.org. October 11, 2024. 6 unforgettable ways Haiti has helped the United States. Get it? The United States. We stay in America. America is the soil. We are the Americans, the only Americans it ever was, is, and will be. The some people say the Aborigines, the indigenous people, the American Indians, the Indians, the people who they falsely call Negro, mulatto, colored, African American, the blacks, the black, bliggity black, black. 6 unforgettable ways Haiti has helped the United States, but you are what your people called themselves and what they called you. Don't forget that. 6 unforgettable ways Haiti has helped the United States. It says how Haiti has helped the United States, not America. Haiti may not always be in the spotlight for its influence on the United States, but its contribution runs deeper than most realize. From history to culture, whoa, 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 whoa. From history to culture, the Caribbean nation has played a vital role in shaping America. See, now you're talking about America. Now you're talking about America. It says Haiti has contributed to the culture of America. This word culture becoming very weak. It is what it is. Haitian immigrants have brought a rich cultural heritage to the United States, there they go again, to the United States. From music to literature, the Haitian diaspora has enriched American culture in numerous ways. Pray tell us how. No shot to Haitian culture and literature and music, but enlighten me. As to what the music and literature contributions have been. They're gonna name a few. Let's get into it. Let's get into this. Wyclef Jean, the award winning, the Grammy, the little statue, the what's the word I want to use? The mass produced little statue that's produced at some warehouse that says you did good. His masters gave him a little statue and said, "Thank you for doing what we needed you to do for the time we needed you to do it." Wyclef Jean, the Grammy-winning musician, introduced the world to a fusion of Haitian rhythms and American hip hop. How did he introduce the world to Haitian rhythms and American hip hop if he is Haitian? If he is Haitian, wouldn't he be introducing Haitian rhythms? He didn't introduce American hip hop. Wasn't American hip hop in America? Ain't that American stuff? Didn't Americans introduce that? The rap part, anyway. The rap and the dress and the dance and Another one, Edwidge Denticat, a renowned Haitian American. No such thing as a Haitian American. Either you Haitian or you American. Okay, this Haitian American stuff. People is who they is, man. He Haitian, he got Haitian in his bloodline, and he possibly got American in his bloodline, but that's not what they mean. When they do that hyphen thing, Haitian American, that's that identity theft, right there. Just like people come from all around, all over the planet. But when they get here, when they arrive on these shores, when they land on these shores, automatically they get the hyphen and American behind it. The same don't work for you nowhere else. A renowned Haitian American author has brought Haitian stories and experiences to the forefront of American literature. He brought Haitian stories and experiences to the forefront of American literature. These figures, they named two people, represent just a fraction, I hope so, of the contributions Haitians have made to American cultural life. Come on, man, it ain't that serious. They be trying, see how they do? You got to understand that the same people who put out the propaganda, they fund both sides of the conflict. Let's not get involved. Let's not get involved with being the one side of the conflict, because they orchestrate who be they. Who be they? You know who they is. The same people that put out the propaganda. The same people that own the propaganda machine. Who be they? They put the capital behind both sides of the conflict. So you start arguing with them and they start arguing with you. And guess what? Mission accomplished. These figures represent just a fraction of the contributions Haitians have made to American cultural life. None. Okay. Let's just be honest. None. Showing the deep interconnection between the two nations. America is made up of many nations. We not the same people. All us not the same. Our dialect not the same, but we understand each other. We see another American and yeah, that's an American right there. No, that ain't no American right there. Haiti has enriched American culture through its art and music. Who's saying that? Boy, that sounds political in nature. Haiti's historical role in agriculture has ties to the United States, not America, particularly through sugarcane and coffee. Haitian coffee was widely consumed in the U.S., the United States, helping fuel American demand for this commodity. Similarly, Haiti's sugarcane production contributed to global sugar markets, impacting trade relations with the U.S. Again, the U.S. Throughout history, the United States and Haiti have helped one another in times of crisis. They telling you they had a relationship, the United States. I don't know about America, because did you have a relationship? I didn't have a relationship. I got a relationship now because of what I told you early in the show. But that's neither here nor there. They talking about big relationships, the United States and Haiti, meaning the people who pulling the strings in Haiti, who far removed probably from the people. Just like the United States, far removed from the people, from the actual people. Throughout history, the United States and Haiti have helped one another in times of crisis. For example, following natural disasters such as 2010 earthquake in Haiti. Come on, man. Why wouldn't they? Let me shut up about that, man. You already know what time it is with these, quote, natural disasters, end quote. The U.S. provided aid in the form of financial support and humanitarian relief. Did the people get that? Did the people who needed help get help? What actually happened? Conversely, Haiti has been home to American missionaries and NGOs, missionaries and non-governmental organizations who work closely with Haitians to improve infrastructure. Missionaries. We know what their mission is. Yeah, we got our share of them too. We need them to go home too. We need them to go to the spot. We need them to go to the crib today. Missionaries and non-governmental organization. Yeah, we know what they about too. We know what these people about, man. We know the titles. Who work closely with Haitians to improve infrastructure, health care, and education. I bet. I don't know about improving this partnership. Who they partner with? They partner with the people. You go ask the average Haitian about a missionary or an NGO. You know what they gonna tell you? This partnership has led to positive outcomes for both nations, fostering a spirit of collaboration and mutual support. Yeah, just the spirit. Theoretical shit. Haitian artists, through their paintings, sculptures, and other forms, have influenced American art communities. Really? The works of Haitian artists like Jean Michel Basquiat. The works of Haitian artists like John Michael Basquiat. I saw John Michael Basquiat. He was, hold on. Are they going to say something about it? They said he was good friends with Andy Warhol, the other famous artist. I actually read something that said they were in a relationship and they both tooted blows together. And I saw a picture of John Michael Basquiat. He was standing behind Andy Warhol, hugging him from the back. John Michael Basquiat, who was of Haitian descent, brought a new form of expression to American contemporary art. His influences transcended the art world, impacting American pop culture and the wider creative industry. You remain protected today. Massachusetts leaders offer comfort guidance to Haitian TPS holders. Gerald Gabot, Executive Director of Immigrant Family Services Institute, speaks at a press conference discussing the loss of temporary protected status for Haitian and Syrian immigrants. On Thursday, June 25th, at the Massachusetts State House in Boston. This is the group of them. I believe the lady on the left, if you're looking straight ahead, the lady on the left is the mayor, I think, of Massachusetts. I think her last name is Wu. Dan Murphy, GBH News. This is Thursday, June 25th. GBH News. Oh yeah, like I said, that was that short clip at the beginning was from this year. This article is by Sarah Betancourt, June 25th, 2026. The court ruled to allow the Trump administration to end temporary protected status for hundreds of thousands of immigrants from Haiti and Syria. I want to assure TPS holders, workers, and their families that this decision today does not go into effect today, said Attorney General Andrea Joy Campbell. You remain protected today. In a 6-3 decision on Thursday morning, justices cleared the way for the Trump administration to remove those protections. Temporary protected status allows immigrants from certain countries with natural disasters, armed conflict, and major turmoil to live and work legally in the United States. The program protected 1.3 million people from 17 countries as of January 2025. More fighting amongst the foreigners. Elected leaders, including Governor Maura Healey, and Boston Mayor Michelle Wu, another foreigner, here making, advocating, working in positions of control. Focused on compassion for Massachusetts immigrant in their remarks. Listen to what Wu says. Michelle Wu, Boston mayor. Michelle Wu. Our Haitian and Syrian neighbors, friends, co-workers, and family members are hearing a message from the highest court in this country that because they were born in certain places around the world, they were born on their soil portion in the place that was deemed appropriate for their creation. Born in certain places around the world, their futures are somehow less worthy of protection. Their futures are less worthy of protection. A future? What's a future? What's a future? And how will you, how Michelle said woo at the State House, her voice breaking. It should be breaking. Of course it's breaking. The woman said their future are somehow less worthy of protection. She gonna protect your future. A woman who's not on her soil portion, a foreigner to another foreigner. I'm gonna protect your future. You belong here, said Wu. You belong here. Why? Because she has to convince herself that she belongs here. Diabolical. Yikes. This is her. Boston Mayor Michelle Wu told Haitian and Syrian nationals with temporary protected status, you belong here. Wow. Wow. Ugh. Sheesh. That cut like a knife, don't it? Yeah, we just watching, we just reading, we just talking, we just bumping our gums. On Saturday, an 8-year-old approached a teacher at the immigrant. Here we go. Here comes the the propaganda that's been simmered to a fine stew, to a fine broth and stew, and now it's time to eat. On Saturday, an 8-year-old approached the teacher at the Immigrant Family Services Institute during a music program and asked if the teacher would take her home with her. So the student asked the teacher, who is a stranger, who was not her parents, if the teacher would take her home with her, recounted Executive Director Gerald Gabot. The teacher said, but why? Why do you want me to take you home? You have a family, Gabot recalled. She said, my parents were talking to me and they said in case they get to be deported, my parents need to find someone to take care of me. Gabot said that the girl, 8-year-old, or I should say the 8-year-old student, I don't know if it's a girl or boy. She said the 8-year-old, oh yeah, she said, Gabot recalled, she said, my parents were talking to me and they said in case they get deported, my parents need to find someone to take care of me. So the 8-year-old girl said her parents had a talk with her and told her that we need to find somebody to take care of you in case we get deported. You think this what a parent tell a 8-year-old? You gonna tell your 8-year-old something like that and have them on edge all day, every day, scared to death. Because I was born here, but my parents are here on TPS. Now, my question to the Supreme Court, what exactly am I going to say to those 100,000 children who are born here and whose parents are on TPS and can be at any time deported? What should be my answer, Gabot said. You shouldn't have an answer because it's not true. It's all theoretical. She said, what exactly am I going to say to those 100,000 children who are born here and whose parents are on TPS and can be at any time deported? Why wouldn't you let the parents speak to their own children the 100,000 children. Why would you think that someone who's not their mama or their daddy or their auntie, why would you think you got to tell them anything? You tell them you need to talk to your mama about that. You need to talk to your father about that. I got my own children. The United Way of Massachusetts Bay activated its United Response Fund in partnership with the Healy Driscoll administration to raise funds to address the urgent needs TPS impacted immigrants will experience. So they're raising funds to give to these people. More funds, because some of the people have been here for years and years and years. They've started a life, they've worked, they've saved money, they've bought property, they've did this, they did that. But now the United Response Fund in partnership with the Healy Driscoll administration are raising more funds to address the urgent needs TPS impacted immigrants will experience. Boston-based lawyers for civil rights will launch a series of legal clinics to help TPS recipients, but they won't help you, and they won't help nobody in your family. They won't help homie who just got popped off for something he didn't do, or got popped off for some bull charge. Okay, they not gonna help you. Boston-based lawyers for civil rights will launch a series of legal clinics to help TPS recipients assess their eligibility for other forms of immigration protection and humanitarian relief. Yeah, you ain't human. That's why you ain't getting no relief. I ain't human, so I don't get no relief. Home and nursing care, as well as construction, will likely be severely impacted when Haitian TPS holders' work authorizations lapse. About 1,500 workers will be impacted in Massachusetts nursing care facilities alone, according to the Attorney General's office. We want to be out with more guidance to employers. We want to be out with more guidance to employers who are currently employing TPS holders who are going to have questions about the impact of this ruling, Healy told GBH News. This ruling has not yet taken effect, first of all, and each person who has TPS has their own unique circumstance. Employers should not preemptively lay off anyone or terminate anyone until they understand what the situation is for their respective employee. Employee, is synonymous with worker, laborer, employee, slave. Or if you want to use the proper label, indentured servant. She, Campbell, and Wu all said that the ruling does not immediately cancel anyone's work permit. This is from Sarah Betancourt. The article was from Sarah Betancourt. Sarah Betancourt is a bilingual reporter for GBH News and longtime Boston muckraker. I don't know what a muckraker is. Okay. This is from, I guess we'll see where it's from in a second. Court's TPS ruling hits Haitians hard in Massachusetts. Big win for Trump. Dr. Gerald Gabot, and believe me, I didn't want to get into this because I'm so sick of hearing these certain names. I'm sick of hearing these certain names. I know it's I know it's sorcery. I know it's bloody magic, bloody magicians. Court's TPS ruling hits Haitians hard in Massachusetts. Big win for Trump. Dr. Gerald Gabot of the IFSI USA wipes away a tear after the Supreme Court removed TPS protections for Haitians and Syrians. By Grace Zokovich, published June 25th, 2026. The picture is of Dr. Gerald Gabot wiping away the tears. This is from the BostonHerald.com. The Boston Herald. This is the time for all of us to raise our voices and to say this country is also our country. This is the time for all of us to raise our voices and to say this country is also our country. is also the country of immigrants because we are the ones who built it, said Gerald Gabot, founder and CEO of Immigrant Family Services Institute, in an impassioned address in the State House Thursday. Damn, don't that cut like a knife? For somebody to come to your house and say that it's they house too, because we the ones who built your house. And you know they ain't built your house. This is the time for all of us to raise our voices and to say this country is also our country, is also the country of immigrants. That's that tagline, a country of immigrants, is what they put out, is what these immigrants say over and over and over and over again until it sit in. And some of y'all also think it's a country of immigrants, and you think you won. You think you a black African slave immigrant, don't you? This is the time for all of us to raise our voices and to say this country is also our country, is also the country of immigrants because we are the ones who built it. Sheesh. If you can enjoy the seat of being on the Supreme Court, it's because immigrants have worked so hard to give you that seat. So you cannot turn your back on us. See that? That's why they here. To give them they seat in your house. You know how you get the head, you supposed to get the head of the table. You know how you supposed to get the big comfortable recliner in front of the TV. They said, if you can enjoy that seat, it's because we work so hard to give you that seat. Now you know why they here. So you cannot turn your back on us because they promised them something, right? We will not turn our back on our brothers and sisters. We will not turn our back on our neighbors. We are going to fight. And I said, by God's grace, we will win, Gabo added. But ain't nobody fighting for you, American, Indian, Indian, Negro. Nobody fighting for you, especially a black. TPS has ended for about 1 million people from 13 countries, including about 650,000 from Venezuela, and 50,000 from Honduras. Decisions are looming for about 200,000 Salvadorians and 100,000 Ukrainians whose protections expire soon. Other countries with smaller numbers include Afghanistan, Myanmar, Cameroon, Ethiopia, Lebanon, Nicaragua, Somalia, South Sudan, and Yemen. Everybody at your spot. Everybody at your house. They sleeping on the floor. They making pallets. They making pallets on your floor. You can't even get in your bathroom. You're going to be late to work. Boston Mayor Michelle Wu. Is she a part of the Wu-Tang Clan? No. She don't know. No. She might know something about it, but that ain't why she here, because she a part of the Wu. Boston Mayor Michelle Wu and Governor Maura Healey said the city and state will continue to help immigrants affected. But they not going to help you. They not going to help the indigenous people from Boston, from Massachusetts. No. We are going to keep fighting for accurate information to be out in our community, for access to trusted legal support supports to be available to every single person who needs it, and resources to ensure we're reaching everyone to understand their rights, said Wu. United Way on a statewide level and the Boston Foundation for the City will collect donations to assist immigrants impacted by the court's decisions, officials said. The governor said her office would issue guidance to employers across the state related to TPS issue. immigrants helping immigrants, foreigners helping foreigners. Everybody taking your stuff, including your soul. Elizabeth Sweet, executive director of Massachusetts Immigrant and Refugee Advocacy Coalition, called the decision inhumane, immoral, and abhorrent, and said the organization was committed to advocating for the rights and safety of all immigrants. Right, because if they didn't, they would not be advocating for the rights and safety of themselves. Forcing individuals to return to an extremely dangerous and violent situation, one which they have already fled, will rip families and communities apart. Like Gabo, for an example, it talks about how she fled these dire circumstances, but yet her sister said, no, 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 no. I'm going to stay at home. I'm going to keep this program going because it's helping the children and the women who need it. Forcing individuals to return to an extremely dangerous and violent situation, one which they have already fled, will rip families and communities apart, Sweet said. Haitian TPS holders are critical to the makeup of our state and country, and this decision will be catastrophic for our state's workforce and economy. It's always all about workforce and economy. Work, labor, energy. You. Till you drop dead. Council on American Islamic Relations Executive Director. Whoa. Now we bring, Council on American Islamic Relations Executive Director Nihad Awad said policies that target these families for deportation because of their race and ethnicity are contrary to our nation's value. Nihad Awad called America our nation. The Telegraph Courier newspaper, Kenosha, Wisconsin, Thursday, March 14th, 1872. The Telegraph Courier, Kenosha, Wisconsin. You thought, let me carry on. The Telegraph Courier newspaper, Kenosha, Wisconsin, Thursday, March 14th, 1872. 1872. Thursday, March 14th, 1872. I'm going to read it like it said. There is a nigger Indian boy. There is a nigger Indian boy employed on a sheep ranch in Monterey County, California, who is a human curiosity. He herds about 800 sheep all by himself. There is a nigger Indian boy employed on a sheep ranch in Monterey County, California, who is a human curiosity. He herds about 800 sheep all by himself, and the overseer says he knows every one of them by sight. Again, there is a nigger Indian boy employed, and the overseer, who is the manager, the supervisor, says he knows every one of them sheep by sight. And when he brings them in at night, he will get on the coral fence and tell whether one of them is missing. He is about 14 and has a face as round as the moon and the brightest black eyes. which fairly sparkle with mischief. He turns more somersaults and hangs head downward from more trees. He turns more somersaults and hangs head downward from more trees than any man can count readily, and seems hardly to be aware of the existence of the sheep during the day, yet brings them all in at night. Do the right thing.